Whiskers the Curious Kitten. Once a tiny ball of fur came tumbling into the world. It was a curious little kitten with bright hazel eyes, a long fluffy tail, and a nose that quivered with every new scent. The kitten loved to explore and learn new things, but it soon found out that being curious all the time had its dangers. It all began one sunny day when the curious kitten named Whiskers saw a bright red bird perched on a branch nearby. The bird looked so deliciously tempting that Whiskers could not resist. Without thinking, the kitten pounced on the bird, but it was too quick and flew away. As Whiskers fell to the ground with a thud, it hurt its paw and realized that chasing after the bird without caution was not a wise decision. The kitten looked around and saw that it was surrounded by trees and bushes it had never seen before. This was a new place, and Whiskers was lost. Suddenly, a wise old owl appeared. "Hello, my dear Whiskers," the owl hooted wisely. "What brings you here?" Whiskers told the owl all about its curious nature and how it got lost chasing after the bird. The owl listened carefully and said, "Well, my dear Whiskers, curiosity must be balanced with safety and responsibility." Whiskers looked confused and asked, "What does that mean?" "It means that you must be cautious and think before you pounce," the owl said. "Now let me show you the way back home." Whiskers learned an important lesson that day and began to explore the world with a more thoughtful attitude. It purred contentedly as it followed the wise owl through the woods and towards home. As they walked, Whiskers saw a shiny glass of milk sitting on a log nearby. It looked so deliciously tempting that Whiskers could not resist. Without thinking, the kitten lapped it all up in a blink. But just as Whiskers finished the last drop, it realized that the milk was sour. Its tummy rumbled with discomfort, and it felt a little faint. Suddenly, a mischievous fox appeared. "Hello, little Whiskers," the fox said with a sly grin. "What happened to you?" Whiskers told the fox all about how it drank the sour milk without thinking. The fox listened carefully and said, "Well, my dear Whiskers, always think before you pounce." Whiskers looked surprised and asked, "What does that mean?" "It means that you should be wise and check before you taste," the fox said. "Now let me show you a trick to help you feel better." The fox taught Whiskers a trick to help soothe its tummy, and soon the kitten was feeling much better. It purred contentedly as it followed the sly fox through the woods and towards home. As they walked, Whiskers saw a glittering ball of yarn rolling down the path nearby. It looked so deliciously tempting that Whiskers could not resist. Without thinking, the kitten chased after it at full speed. But just as Whiskers caught the ball of yarn, it realized that it was tied to a big knot. It was so tangled up that Whiskers could not move an inch. Suddenly, a kind-hearted dog appeared. "Hello, little Whiskers," the dog said with a wag of its tail. "What's the matter? Are you caught?" Whiskers told the dog all about how it chased after the ball of yarn without caution. The dog listened carefully and said, "Well, my dear Whiskers, always think before you pounce." Whiskers looked hesitant and asked, "What does that mean?" "It means that you should look before you leap," the dog said. "Now hold still and let me untangle you." The dog patiently untangled the ball of yarn, and soon Whiskers was free. It purred contentedly as it followed the friendly dog through the woods and towards home. As they walked, Whiskers saw a lovely butterfly fluttering nearby. It looked so deliciously tempting that Whiskers could not resist. But this time, the kitten thought before it pounced. Whiskers looked around and checked if the ground was uneven or filled with twigs, looked if there were any surroundings that might be dangerous or any obstacle that it might hit to. The kitten saw that it was safe and it cautiously crept up to the butterfly, pounced and missed. Whiskers fell to the ground again, but this time it laughed at itself. It realized that being curious was fun, but thinking before it pounced was even better. Now Whiskers knew that always thinking before it pounced was the very best thing. It purred contently as it walked the rest of the way home with the dog by its side, safely and happily.